Welcome back, everyone. As you know, I love to tell you about amazing artists that we have in our community. It's great to support local talent. With us now is a gentleman who works with some local talent, but as well international artists and bringing them lots of success. Welcome to the show, Vikas. Thanks for being here.
Good for you to have me.
Good for me to have you.
To sit on your sofa.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
It works both ways. Now you're working with you have a production company. I'll start that off.
Right.
You tend to deal mostly with music production. Tell me about a little bit some of the artists that you're working with right now.
Oh, right now. Well, actually, just yesterday, I was working with an artist by the name of, her name's Bandana Singh. Her band is called Sing Bandana Singh, and it's very cool because she's a South Asian female artist who has Indian classical training, but she's fronting a punk band.
Wow.
With a couple of Jewish guys backing her up. So,
yeah.
we'll make sure to cover
Eclectic,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah, but they've got a show coming up this Saturday, actually. So, we're rushing. We were late in the studio last night in Fat Labs trying to get all the recordings done, and then today, after I head back from the show today, I'm just going to go back and mix until it's ready, hopefully for public consumption.
Lots of work to be done. Another big hit.
Hopefully.
Of course, Fat Labs is the name of your production company, the house that this beats are created in.
Yeah.
Tell us about your studios and your facilities.
Well, I guess the best way to describe it is if you come to Fat Labs, you're really coming and really working with me, because I work one-on-one with the artists. I do a lot of co-writing with artists, a lot of solo singer-songwriter types, and here in Mississauga and as well internationally, like you mentioned, I have some clients as far as India and the UK. And
I'm going to tease them with that because we're going to talk to them about that
okay.
later on. So let's stay here for a while.
Stay here for now?
Just for a little bit.
And then, well, yeah, so the artists come in, and sometimes bands come in, and, well, it's just half and half, right? And when I say we sit down, we have some samosas, we, shoot the something, and then make some music, and hopefully everyone likes it.
I like to say we spit some pits.
That works.
Spit some pits. And now, how do you get to know the person that you're working with and know that you're going to work well with each other? Is that samosa time? Yeah,
samosa time, nothing like that. It's just, I think that personally, if the artist is focused on, they can be focused on one or two things. They can be focused, to be honest, they can be focused on themselves, or they can be focused on the songs. And as long as they're focused on the songs, everything works out fine. Because then, they get to be creative in the studio, and I get to give them creative ideas as well, and no one gets offended because we're just seeing how can we make the song the best that it can be. And to be honest, I always have fun in the studio. I don't know. I can't imagine. I hear these stories about other artists in studios, and I think, how can you not have fun? You're making rock and roll all day long.
Yeah.
Really? Chill out, man.
Tough to have a bad time. Well, I think of producers and their artist relationship. I automatically think of Ben Martin and the Beatles. This is what comes to mind. They had a great collaboration for many, many years together. Tell me a bit more about your work ethic with your musicians and what that relationship is like.
What can I say? So a typical sort of scenario is if it's a band, they'll usually, we'll meet, talk about what we like. They'll usually admire my vinyl collection somewhere sitting on a shelf. And then, I like to see them perform live, get a sense of what they're all about. And then,
That's what I was waiting for you to say. The live performance.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to translate. You have to see what they're like out there, what they really want to put out there. Because it's very different in a studio environment than it is in a stage environment. Yeah,
I actually have this discussion with artists a lot because you have to, there's something about capturing what they do live and getting it. And there's also this other reality, depending on what genre you're in. If you're a pop artist, for instance, the reality is a lot of people are never gonna see you live. And so their impression about you is going to be in the recording. So you have to make sure you do something that wows them in the recording, and then you have to make sure you have something that wows them on stage. And they're kind of, they're two different worlds, but they have to obviously have some overlap. Otherwise, you don't want to disappoint your fans if they do see you live, and you don't want someone to then, if they like you live and they buy your CD, and then it's like, oh, this isn't the same band. So, but you can't. You can't just treat it all as one world because they really are different, and people want to hear, something cool in both different venues.
Yeah, very different, but they do connect.
Yes.
Very different. Now, were you a musician? First off, was there aspirations for musical success of your own?
Do these sideburns give me away?
They do.
Yeah. So yes. nothing but rock and roll when I was growing up, causing trouble. So.
Well, who are some of your inspirations then?
Inspirations. Well, it's funny. It's changed over the years because I grew up, obviously being Indian, grew up listening to a lot of, watching all the Bollywood films. So, and because they are so musical, I knew you know, I probably saw 500 Indian films by the time I was about 10 years old.
Wow.
And, but then, of course, you know, you're growing up here, so you turn on the radio, and, you know, in the 80s, you hear Corey Hart and Bryan Adams. And do you remember Europe Final Countdown?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Nothing like a
I
bad
always think of
hair
Job
metal band.
on Arrested Development when I hear that song now.
Oh, did they do something? That show
They
was
did.
so good.
Very good. We'll talk about that in the break. Anyhow, so these are something, because you
Yeah.
got like the Love and Spoonful chops. That's what I was going to
Yeah,
bring up.
well, actually, you know
those
what?
older classic rock.
This is in honor of the fact that Metallica has finally gotten out of therapy and decided to go back to playing rock and roll like they used to. So it's
Wow.
a tribute to my favorite Metallica album. For any viewers out there that know what that is, they might make the time.
Yeah, I didn't take you as a Sandman fan, but you know,
Yeah.
we can
Well,
go there.
Sandman's when they started going down, but you know, maybe. You know.
It's a whole other show. We could talk music forever, I think,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and I. But you mentioned your upbringing here, your South Asian community connection.
Right.
You also work on some international films, actually. We can tell our viewers about that.
Right. Well, I've worked on some Bollywood films and some North American productions. There was a film called Mission Istanbul. I did a track for that. There's another Bollywood film coming out. Should hopefully be out this year. It's called Tom, Dick, and Harry Rock Again.
Okay.
And I got a track coming out in that as well. It's another Bollywood major motion picture. And I just found out this week that one of the Canadian productions I did a track for, called Shanti Baba Ram and the Dancers of Hope, just got picked up by CBC.
What a name!
Yeah,
And
yeah.
congratulations, that's
Oh,
amazing.
Thank you very much. I'm waiting for those royalties to kick in, and
Right.
then I'm going to buy an Escalade and just retire.
You could be waiting for a while.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, sadly. Well, tell me a little bit more about this Bollywood experience, because from the ones that I've seen and I've experienced myself, they're just such grand music. There just seems to be so much layers to that. What is it like to put
Yeah.
something like that together?
Well, it's like you said, it's definitely high production. When I got my first Bollywood project, it was definitely a lesson in, okay, this isn't a power trio anymore. It's not guitar, bass, and drums. It's, you know, tracks upon tracks upon tracks of orchestration and arrangement, but then it all has to be wrapped together in really a very danceable pop type number, because that's what Bollywood is all about, feeling good. So, you know, people have said it's escapism, right?
Well, most films are.
Yeah, most films are.
Most films.
But for some reason in the Indian culture, the escapism is just surreal. It's like they just want a whole lot of it is really escapism and just feel good escapism.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, Bollywood doesn't put out movies like Avatar or Full Metal Jacket.
Right,
You know,
right,
once
right.
in a while, but really, yeah, it's, you know, it's dancing,
Okay.
it's partying,
Right.
it's just like forgetting about all your troubles and having a good time. And so the music, as intense as it is, and because it's a huge industry, has
much to offer.
has to capture that. And they you know, there's really no room for indulgence. It's just
Well,
please the audience.
we're gonna talk to you more about Bollywood when we come back
Okay.
from the break, but also some more of the international success this band's been having. 'Cause it's got some hot hits in Europe. We'll talk about that when we come right back.